presented by Soundlibra.com. Explore more titles via the link in the description or at Soundlibra.com. Have you ever felt like you're always busy, but not truly accomplishing anything important? That's what we're exploring today.
And we're Alex and Lisa. Today, we're unraveling the illusion of the hustle. Before we dive in, a quick note. While we're discussing mental well-being and stress, this is for educational purposes and isn't medical advice, so definitely consult a professional for your specific health needs.
That's a great point. Now, to get us started, for years, we've been told success comes from relentless effort and constant activity. We see gurus promoting early mornings, side hustles demanding every spare second, and a glorification of exhaustion.
It's like a competition to seem the busiest, right? And the result is often burnout, not real accomplishment.
Precisely. This hustle culture has become normalized. We wear exhaustion like a badge of honor, a sign of dedication. But what if that's a dangerous myth? What if focusing on being busy prevents us from being productive in a meaningful, sustainable way?
That's a crucial distinction. Being busy implies engagement, but not many people realize it doesn't always mean progress. Productivity is about achieving valuable outcomes. So, we're questioning the value we place on simply being occupied.
Think about it. When you're constantly switching tasks, responding to every notification, and juggling many things, are you doing your best work? Or are you just reacting? When we're in that state of perpetual motion, our minds are scattered. We're skimming the surface, not engaging in deep, focused thought.
And that leads to mistakes, lower quality work, and feeling ineffective despite all the effort. It's a cycle. You feel you're not achieving enough, so you try to do more, which makes you busier, more scattered, and even less effective.
This illusion of the hustle suggests more hours equal more output. But science and experience tell a different story. Our brains aren't designed for constant, high-intensity operation. We need focused effort, but we also need rest, reflection, and periods of less intense activity.
So, where does this obsession with busyness come from? It feels deeply ingrained in our society.
It's part of a cultural narrative that equates work with worth. For a long time, societies have emphasized industriousness. If you weren't working, you might be seen as lazy. This has morphed into modern hustle culture, amplified by technology that keeps us constantly connected.
Technology plays a huge role. It makes it so easy to appear busy. Answering emails, checking social media, attending virtual meetings, these can fill our day without us doing the deep, creative, or strategic work that truly moves the needle.
Absolutely. And this constant connectivity blurs lines between work and life. When your phone buzzes with a work email at dinner, you're pulled back into that busy state. It erodes our ability to be truly present and focused.
It sounds like the hustle culture isn't just about working hard, but about a constant state of semi-attention that we mistakenly believe is high performance.
Exactly. And the promises of hustle culture are often hollow. It promises freedom through achievement, but often delivers burnout and a feeling of never being enough. We're encouraged to sacrifice well-being for perceived progress, a trade-off that is ultimately unsustainable.
So, if the hustle is an illusion, what's the alternative? You mentioned slow productivity earlier. What does that actually mean?
That's what we'll be exploring throughout this series. But at its core, slow productivity is about achieving more by doing less and doing it better. It's about focusing on high-impact activities and eliminating the rest. It's recognizing that rest and reflection aren't slacking off. They are essential components of sustained, effective work. It's a philosophy that prioritizes depth over breadth, quality over quantity, and well-being over burnout.
So, instead of glorifying exhaustion, we should be aiming for intentionality, for focused effort on the things that truly matter.
That's the heart of it. It's about asking, am I doing the right thing rather than am I doing enough things? It's about understanding that our energy is a finite resource and needs to be managed wisely, not just drained.
This idea of managing energy rather than just time resonates. We often think of time management, but we're not just time-bound machines. We're human beings with fluctuating energy levels.
Indeed, this episode is about planting the seed of doubt about the hustle. We want you to start questioning the narrative that constant busyness equals success. Think about your own day. How much of it is genuinely productive, and how much of it is just busy work?
It's a challenging thought in a world that celebrates the grind. But it feels freeing to consider that there might be a more sustainable and effective way to live and work.
There absolutely is. Over the next episodes, we'll break down the principles of slow productivity. We'll explore how to identify and eliminate distractions, how to cultivate deep work, how to understand your own natural rhythms, and how to build a more fulfilling and impactful career in life.
So, we're moving from the frantic pace of the illusion of the hustle to a more deliberate, effective approach. We've introduced the problem of hustle culture, its origins, and its negative consequences. We've also given a glimpse into what slow productivity aims to be.
And in our next episode, we'll directly define what slow productivity looks like in practice, moving beyond the abstract to concrete actions and mindsets.
Sounds like a great plan to start reevaluating our approach to work and achievement.
Thanks for listening. Next episode, defining slow productivity. Welcome back. Last time, we questioned the relentless pressure of constant hustle. Now, let's define slow productivity.
That's right, Alex. When people hear slow productivity, some might think of laziness or procrastination. That's definitely not what we're talking about.
Absolutely not. Slow productivity isn't about doing less, it's about doing better. It's about intentionality and focus. Instead of juggling a dozen balls, you're expertly catching and throwing just a few with precision and purpose.
I love that analogy. So, it's about quality over quantity? Instead of churning out high volume, we focus on doing fewer things exceptionally well.
Precisely. It's about aligning your effort with what truly matters. We're not advocating for a world where nothing gets done. We're advocating for a world where what does get done makes a genuine impact. It's about channeling your energy into activities that move you closer to your meaningful goals, rather than just filling time because you feel you should be busy.
So, it's less about the amount of time spent working and more about the quality of that time and the impact of the work produced. It's about strategic effort, not just sustained effort.
Exactly. So much of modern work culture focuses on the illusion of busyness. We send emails at midnight, answer messages instantly, have back-to-back meetings. We feel busy, but are we truly productive in a way that serves us or our goals? Often, the answer is no.
That disconnect between perceived busyness and actual productivity is so powerful. It's easy to think being occupied means you're productive when you might just be spinning your wheels.
Slow productivity offers a way to break free. It asks us to pause and consider, is this task bringing me closer to my objectives? Is there a more effective way? Is this the right time to invest my energy here?
It sounds like it requires self-awareness and discipline. You have to be honest about what's truly important and resist the urge to react to every incoming request or perceived obligation.
It certainly does, but the payoff is immense. When you operate with intentionality, you reduce wasted time, mental energy, effort. That freed up capacity can be directed towards truly impactful work or, crucially, towards rest and rejuvenation, vital components of sustainable productivity.
That's a really important point, the integration of rest. In the hustle mindset, rest is often seen as a luxury or a sign of weakness. But slow productivity recognizes that rest isn't the absence of work, it's an essential part of the work cycle. It's what allows us to bring our best selves to the tasks that matter most.
When we're constantly running on empty, our ability to think deeply, solve complex problems, and be creative diminishes significantly. We become less effective, more prone to errors, and more miserable. Slow productivity understands that sustainable success, and frankly, a more fulfilling life, requires periods of deep work interspersed with periods of genuine rest and reflection.
So, to recap for our listeners, slow productivity is not about being lazy or doing less overall. It's about being intentional, focusing on the quality of your work over sheer quantity, and aligning your efforts with meaningful goals. It's about working smarter, not just harder, and recognizing that strategic effort, combined with adequate rest, leads to more impactful outcomes and a more sustainable way of living and working.
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. It's about building a life where your work serves you, not the other way around. It's about reclaiming your time and energy for what truly enriches your life and allows you to contribute in a meaningful way.
It's about shifting the definition of success from being constantly busy to being effectively impactful. And that intentionality helps us avoid the exhaustion and burnout that so often accompanies the traditional hustle.
Indeed, as we move forward, we'll explore specific strategies for cultivating this kind of productivity. But for now, understanding this core definition, intentionality, quality, meaningful goals, and the crucial role of rest is the foundation.
It truly is. It's about a more mindful approach to how we spend our most valuable resources, our time and our energy. And that's a powerful shift to make.
It is. So, to really solidify this, think about one area in your life where you feel you're just going through the motions, busy, but not truly productive. What's one small step you could take today to inject more intention or focus into that area?
That's a great challenge. For me, it might be consciously deciding not to check my email first thing in the morning and instead spending those first few minutes planning my actual priorities for the day.
Excellent. And for our listeners, consider that question. What's a small, intentional shift you can make to move away from performative busyness and towards genuine, impactful productivity?
It's all about making conscious choices about where we direct our energy, ensuring it's for maximum impact and personal well being.
So, understanding slow productivity means embracing intentionality, prioritizing quality over quantity, and aligning our efforts with meaningful goals. It's about working strategically and recognizing that rest is not the enemy of productivity, but its essential partner for sustainable success and well-being.
That's a fantastic way to wrap up this foundational discussion. It's a mindset shift that can truly transform how we approach our work and our lives.
And it sets the stage perfectly for what's next.
Thanks for listening.
Welcome back. Last time, we talked about intentionality. Today, we're building on that by diving into deep work.
I'm really excited about this. True focus is becoming a superpower. We're constantly bombarded. This episode is about reclaiming our attention.
Exactly. Deep work is professional activities performed with distraction-free concentration that push cognitive capabilities. These efforts create value, improve skills, and are hard to replicate.
So, it's not just being busy, but intensely focusing on challenging, valuable tasks. It's about producing high quality output.
Precisely. Think about the opposite, shallow work. This refers to non-cognitively demanding, logistical tasks, often done while distracted. These efforts don't create much new value and are easy to replicate. Stuff like answering emails or scheduling.
It's so easy to get caught up in that shallow work cycle. We feel productive, but are we actually creating something of lasting value?
That's the question. Our ability to perform deep work is becoming increasingly rare. Those who can consistently engage in deep work gain a significant advantage. They learn faster, produce better results, and achieve more fulfilling careers.
So, how do we actually cultivate this deep work ability? It sounds great in theory, but in practice, it feels like a huge challenge.
It is a challenge, but it's attainable with the right strategies. You need to be deliberate about creating the conditions for it. There are several approaches. One is isolating yourself for long periods. That's pretty extreme,
Definitely. Most of us have jobs and families that make complete isolation impossible.
right? Then there's dedicating specific, extended blocks of time to deep work, perhaps a few days a week. This can be more feasible.
That sounds more manageable. So, you're segmenting your schedule to allow for intense focus.
Exactly. Another approach is creating a regular habit of deep work. You commit to a certain amount each day or week, and you do it at the same time, in the same place, to build a routine. Many people find this the most sustainable.
I can see how a routine would be helpful. It removes some decision fatigue. If you know that 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. is deep work time, you're less likely to question it.
Precisely. And finally, there's the approach for those with very unpredictable schedules, where you seize any available opportunity for deep work. This requires a lot of discipline.
For our listeners, the rhythmic or the approach of dedicating specific blocks might be the most appealing starting points.
Agreed. Now, regardless of the schedule, the environment and mindset for deep work are critical. The absolute enemy of deep work is distraction. We need to train ourselves to resist the urge for notifications, social media, and constant email checking.
This is where it gets tough. My phone feels glued to my hand sometimes.
It's a common struggle. So, practical strategies include turning off all non-essential notifications, putting your phone on silent, or even better, in another room during your deep work sessions, closing unnecessary tabs on your computer, and crucially, communicating your deep work intentions to colleagues or family. Let them know that during this time, you are unavailable unless it's a true emergency.
That communication piece is so important. Setting those boundaries up front is key.
Absolutely. Another element is to have a dedicated space for deep work. This doesn't have to be a separate office. It could be a specific corner of your home, a quiet spot in a library, or even a coffee shop with headphones. The goal is to create a consistent environment that signals to your brain it's time to focus.
So, we're minimizing external distractions, but what about internal ones? The racing thoughts, the what ifs.
That's where having a clear plan and a structured process for your deep work session comes in. Before you begin, know exactly what you want to achieve. What's the specific task or problem you're going to tackle? Having a defined goal helps keep your mind on track.
Like having a specific chapter to write or a particular problem to solve, rather than just work on my project.
Exactly. And when those distracting thoughts arise, a useful technique is to have a notebook or a digital document nearby to quickly jot down the thought. You acknowledge it, write it down to address later, and then gently redirect your attention back to your task. This is often called a distraction captured list.
Oh, I like that. It's like acknowledging the thought without letting it derail you.
Yes. And remember how we talked about the cognitive load of switching tasks? Deep work is about minimizing that. So, during your deep work block, resist the urge to check email, take calls, or multitask. This is your dedicated time for undivided attention.
This makes so much sense. It's about creating a sacred space for our most demanding intellectual efforts. If we want to produce our best work, we have to protect the time and energy it requires.
Indeed. And what about rest? Does deep work mean constantly pushing yourself to the brink without any breaks?
That's a great question, Alex, and it leads us to a crucial point. Deep work is cognitively demanding. Our brains need periods of rest and recovery to function optimally. So, intentionally scheduling breaks, downtime, and even deliberate rest is just as important as scheduling deep work sessions. We'll be exploring that more down the road.
Indeed. But for today, the key takeaway is this: Deep work is the ability to focus without distraction on a cognitively demanding task. It's essential for creating value, improving skills, and achieving meaningful accomplishments. By implementing strategies like adopting a rhythmic or bimodal schedule, minimizing distractions, creating a dedicated workspace, and having clear goals, we can all cultivate this powerful ability.
So, to recap, deep work is focused, distraction-free concentration on challenging tasks. Shallow work is the opposite, easy to replicate tasks done distractedly. By choosing an approach like rhythmic or bimodal scheduling, eliminating distractions, and setting clear intentions, we can carve out space for deep work. This allows us to learn faster and produce our best, most valuable output.
You've got it, Lisa. And as we move forward, we'll continue to explore how to integrate these concepts into a truly slow and productive life. Next episode, Understanding Seasonal Rhythms. Welcome back to Slow Productivity. Accomplish more, rushing less.
And I'm Lisa. In our last episode, we really dug into the concept of deep work, those focused, uninterrupted sessions that lead to significant output. It was fascinating to see how pushing past distractions can unlock so much potential.
Absolutely, Lisa. And today we're going to build on that by exploring something that feels almost counterintuitive to the modern idea of constant productivity. We're going to talk about seasonal rhythms.
Seasonal rhythms, that's an interesting concept in the context of work. I mean, we associate seasons with nature, spring, summer, fall, winter, and how things grow and change. How does that apply to our daily grind?
It applies beautifully, actually. Think about nature. It doesn't try to bloom flowers in the dead of winter, does it? It experiences periods of intense growth and activity in the spring and summer, followed by periods of dormancy and rest in the fall and winter. Nature understands the need for ebb and flow. And human productivity, at its core, can benefit immensely from understanding and working with our own natural cycles, rather than constantly fighting against them.
So, instead of trying to be on 24/7, we should be looking at periods of intense work and then periods of less intensity or even rest.
Precisely. And this is a core tenet of slow productivity. We're not talking about laziness or slacking off. We're talking about sustainability. Embracing seasonal rhythms is a huge part of that. It's about recognizing that our energy levels, our creativity, and our capacity for deep, focused work naturally fluctuate. Instead of trying to maintain a constant high level of output, which often leads to burnout, we can learn to harness our peak periods and then consciously allow for periods of recuperation and reflection.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like trying to sprint a marathon versus pacing yourself. You'll get further and feel better if you pace yourself.
That's a fantastic analogy, Lisa. In the natural world, you have spring and summer, which are times of germination, growth, and abundance. Plants are reaching for the sun, working hard to produce fruit and flowers. This is where we can model our periods of intense, deep work. These are the times when our energy is high, our focus is sharp, and we can tackle those demanding projects that require sustained concentration.
So, spring and summer are our deep work seasons. What happens then? We just push, push, push?
Not entirely. Even in nature's growing seasons, there are cycles of activity and rest within the day. But the overall trend is towards growth. For us, this means dedicating significant blocks of time to our most important tasks without interruption. It's about leveraging that natural surge of energy and motivation. We might tackle complex problem solving, create new content, or push forward with challenging initiatives. It's about being productive in a powerful, forward-moving way.
Okay, I can see that. We have these bursts of focused energy, and we use them for our most impactful work. But what about fall and winter? Nature doesn't just stop, it shifts.
Exactly. Fall and winter in nature are characterized by harvest, preparation, and rest. The energy draws inwards. For us, this translates to periods of reflection, consolidation, and necessary rest. After a period of intense work, our brains and bodies need a chance to recover and process. This isn't downtime, it's a different kind of productive time. It's time for reviewing what we've accomplished, for planning what comes next, and for letting our minds wander and connect ideas in new ways.
So, instead of feeling guilty for not being in a high output mode, we should understand that this reflective period is actually crucial for future productivity. It's like letting the soil rest so it can be fertile again next spring.
That's a perfect way to put it, Lisa. This is where we can engage in activities like reading, journaling, or simply allowing ourselves to be bored. Boredom, surprisingly, is a powerful catalyst for creativity. When we're constantly stimulated, our minds don't get the chance to make novel connections or to solve problems in the background. These fall and winter periods within our productivity cycles allow for that mental incubation.
And you mentioned preventing burnout earlier. This sounds like a direct antidote to that. Constantly trying to be in that high energy, deep work spring and summer phase would be exhausting and unsustainable.
It is. Burnout often stems from a lack of sufficient rest and recovery. When we force ourselves to operate at peak capacity all the time, we deplete our resources. By embracing seasonal rhythms, we acknowledge that there will be times when we're not producing at our absolute highest level. And that's not only okay, it's necessary. This allows us to recharge, to avoid mental fatigue, and to maintain a healthier relationship with our work over the long term.
So, practically speaking, how do we implement this? Do we literally look at the calendar and say, okay, now it's spring, time to get super productive?
Not necessarily tied to the astronomical seasons, although you can certainly draw parallels. It's more about becoming attuned to your own personal energy cycles. Pay attention to when you naturally feel most focused and energized. Are there certain times of the year, or even certain weeks or months, when you have more creative stamina? Conversely, are there times when you feel a natural pull towards less demanding tasks or a need for more rest?
That's a good point. I've definitely noticed over the years that certain periods feel more productive than others, and I always wondered why. I just tried to push through the less productive times.
And that's where the shift in thinking comes in. Instead of fighting those slower periods, you can embrace them. During your winters, you can focus on learning, on organizing, on planning future projects, or simply on taking a well-deserved break. Then, when your spring arrives and your energy and focus return, you're refreshed and ready to dive into those deep work sessions with renewed vigor.
So, it's about intentionality. It's about recognizing that different seasons of work require different approaches. High energy months might be for pushing forward with big projects, and lower energy months might be for thoughtful planning and skill development.
Exactly. And this ties back to what we discussed with deep work. Deep work is most effective when you have the energy and focus for it. If you try to do deep work when you're already feeling drained, it's going to be an uphill battle, and the results might not be as good. By aligning your deep work sessions with your natural periods of high energy and focus, your springs and summers, you maximize their effectiveness.
And the fall and winter periods aren't unproductive times, they're just periods for different kinds of productivity. They're for building the foundation for future growth, for reflecting, and for tending to ourselves.
Precisely. Think of it as a gardener. They don't try to plant seeds in the snow. They wait for the right conditions. They work diligently during the growing season, and then they harvest and prepare for the next cycle. We can adopt a similar mindset. Our active periods are for planting seeds and nurturing growth, and our restorative periods are for harvesting the fruits of our labor, reflecting on the season, and preparing the soil for what's to come. This cyclical approach prevents burnout and fosters a more sustainable, fulfilling way of working.
It really does reframe what productivity means. It's not just about constant output, but about a balanced, intentional rhythm that honors our natural capacities.
It absolutely is. Understanding and working with our own seasonal rhythms is a powerful tool for achieving long-term, sustainable success without sacrificing our well-being.
So, to recap, we've learned that just like nature, our work lives benefit from periods of intense activity and periods of rest and reflection. We can align our deep, focused work with our natural high energy cycles and use our lower energy periods for reflection, planning, and recovery. This approach prevents burnout, fosters creativity, and ultimately leads to more sustainable productivity.
You've summarized it perfectly, Lisa. And next time, we're going to look at how to actively eliminate those things that drain our energy and distract us from what truly matters.
Excellent. So, next episode, eliminating busy work and distractions.
We'll see you then. Welcome back. Last time, we dove deep into the power of focused, uninterrupted work. Today, we're tackling a relentless enemy of progress, busy work and distractions.
Busy work. That feeling of being swamped with tasks, yet knowing none of them are truly moving the needle on your most important goals. It's the illusion of work, isn't it? And distractions are the constant saboteurs of our focus.
Precisely. Busy work is any task that consumes your time and energy, but doesn't contribute significantly to your objectives. Think about those endless email chains that could have been a quick chat or administrative tasks that have no discernible end. They feel productive, but in reality, they're just keeping you busy, not necessarily effective.
So, how do we even begin to identify this busy work? It often sneaks in disguised as something urgent or important.
That's the trick. We need to get intentional. A good first step is to track your time. For a week, jot down everything you do and how long it takes. Be brutally honest. You might be shocked at how much time is spent on activities that don't align with your core work.
Time tracking. That sounds a little daunting, but I can see the value. If you don't know where your time is going, how can you possibly reclaim it?
Exactly. Once you have that data, you can start applying a filter. Ask yourself for each task, does this directly contribute to my most important goals? Or even more simply, is this the most impactful thing I could be doing right now? If the answer is no, or I'm not sure, it's likely busy work.
And what do we do with it once we identify it? Just stop doing it?
It's not always that simple, but that's the ultimate goal. We can employ a few strategies. One is delegation. If a task doesn't require your unique skills or attention, can someone else do it? Even in personal life, think about outsourcing chores if possible.
That makes sense. Not everything has to land on your plate. But what about those tasks that are necessary but just feel low impact, like certain reporting or administrative duties?
For those, we look at minimizing them. Can you automate them? Many software tools can handle repetitive tasks for you. Can you batch them? Instead of responding to every email as it arrives, set aside specific times to process your inbox. This reduces the cognitive load of constantly switching tasks.
Batching. I like that. It means instead of being pulled in 100 directions throughout the day, you dedicate a block of time to a specific type of task. It feels more controlled.
And control is key to slow productivity. Another effective method for eliminating busy work is to regularly review your commitments. Are there meetings you can decline or delegate attendance for? Are there projects you've taken on that no longer serve your purpose? Saying no is a powerful tool.
Saying no is so hard, though, especially if it's something a colleague or a boss suggests.
It is, but remember why we're doing this, to make space for what truly matters. Frame it positively. I can't commit to that right now because I'm prioritizing X, Y, and Z, which are critical for our team's goals. This shows you're not being difficult, but rather strategically allocating your energy. It builds on the idea of deep work we discussed. protecting your focus time for activities that yield the best results.
So, busy work is about identifying and eliminating tasks that don't contribute to our goals, and for the necessary ones, minimizing or automating them. Now, let's talk about distractions. These seem to be everywhere, don't they? Emails, notifications, social media.
Distractions are the constant background noise of modern life, and they're designed to grab our attention. The first step, as we touched on with deep work, is awareness. Recognize what distracts you the most. Is it your phone? Is it open office chatter? Is it the urge to check the news?
For me, it's definitely my phone. Those little red notification bubbles are like magnets.
They are. So, a practical step is to create a distraction-free environment for your phone. This means disabling non-essential notifications. Even better, put your phone in another room during focused work periods. For your computer, close unnecessary tabs and applications. If you're in an open office, consider noise-canceling headphones.
That's a great point. It's not just about the digital distractions, but also the physical environment. I've found that even just closing my office door makes a big difference.
Absolutely. And we need to be mindful of our own internal distractions too. That little voice that says, just 5 more minutes on social media, or I'll just quickly check this news article. This is where discipline comes in. When you notice these urges, acknowledge them, but then gently redirect your attention back to your task.
So, it's a two-pronged approach, managing external interruptions and cultivating internal focus. It sounds like we need to create intentional boundaries.
Exactly. Boundaries are crucial. This includes setting clear expectations with colleagues about when you are available for interruptions and when you are in deep work mode. Communicate your focus times. For example, you might say, I'll be unavailable for new requests between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. to focus on Project X.
This is why setting expectations is so important. People can't know you need focus time unless you tell them. It's also about training our brains, isn't it? Our brains can become habituated to constant stimulation.
They absolutely can. That's why practicing focus, even in short bursts, builds our capacity. Think of it like building a muscle. The more you train your focus, the longer and more effectively you can sustain it. Remember our discussion on deep work? This is where those principles come into play daily. We've learned that true productivity isn't about doing more things. It's about doing the right things with focused attention. Eliminating busy work frees up that time, and managing distractions protects it.
So, to recap for our listeners, first, become aware of your busy work by tracking your time. Then, actively eliminate or minimize those tasks that don't serve your goals. For necessary but low impact tasks, look for ways to automate or batch them. Second, we need to tackle distractions head on. This involves managing our digital environment by disabling notifications, creating physical focus zones, and importantly, setting clear boundaries with ourselves and others.
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. By consciously eliminating busy work and actively managing distractions, you're not just clearing your schedule, you're making space for meaningful progress. You're protecting your most valuable resource, your focused attention. This is the foundation for genuine, slow productivity.
It's about being intentional with our time and energy. Instead of drowning in the illusion of work, we're carving out space for impactful contributions.
And that's a powerful feeling. Next time, we'll explore another vital element of slow productivity, choosing meaningful projects. Next episode, choosing meaningful projects. Welcome back to Slow Productivity. Accomplish more, rushing less. Last time we discussed eliminating busy work and distractions.
Exactly. Now that we've cleared the clutter, Alex, it's time to focus on what we should be filling that valuable space with.
This is episode 6, and we're tackling the critical task of choosing meaningful projects. For too long, we've been led to believe that just working hard or working long hours equates to productivity. That's a flawed idea. Real, impactful productivity comes from working on the things that truly matter.
So, when we talk about meaningful projects, what are we really getting at? Is it just about enjoyment?
It's more than just enjoyment, although that's a part of it. A meaningful project is one that resonates with your core values, supports your long-term objectives, and provides a genuine sense of accomplishment. Think about the difference between mindlessly scrolling and actively learning a skill that will benefit you for years. Only the latter offers true meaning.
That makes sense. It's about the impact and purpose behind the work. But how do we actually identify these projects? It can feel like a daunting choice.
The journey begins with introspection. Ask yourself, what problems do I want to solve? What skills do I want to develop? What kind of mark do I want to leave? What activities bring me genuine satisfaction? These questions are your starting point.
So, it's an inward look before an outward search for projects.
Precisely. Once you understand your values and goals, you can evaluate potential projects. Does this opportunity move me closer to my vision? Does it leverage my strengths? Does it genuinely excite me? If the answers are consistently yes, you're on the right path.
This also implies we need to be okay with saying no to projects that don't fit, which can be the harder part.
Absolutely. Saying yes to one thing means saying no to countless others, including your most important goals. If a project doesn't align with your values or pulls you away from your deep work, it's often best to decline. This requires courage, especially with external pressures.
But the cost of taking on the wrong project is enormous: lost time, energy, and potential progress on what truly matters.
Exactly. Your time and energy are finite resources. Every project is an investment. You want to invest in ventures that yield the highest, most meaningful returns. Investing in unaligned projects is like pouring resources into a void.
I like to think of it like tending a garden. You can't plant every seed. You meticulously choose the ones that will thrive and give you the results you desire.
That's a perfect analogy, Lisa. You select seeds that suit your soil, sunlight, and your ultimate vision for the garden. Projects that don't fit are like weeds to be removed.
So, beyond introspection and saying no, are there other practical ways to define or choose these meaningful projects?
Consider the 2-year rule. Ask yourself, if I dedicate significant effort to this project over the next 2 years, will I be substantially better off, more skilled, or closer to my goals? If the answer is a clear yes, it's likely a worthwhile pursuit. If the benefits are vague or short-term, it might be a distraction.
The 2-year rule helps filter out immediate gratification for long-term gains.
It does, and it emphasizes depth over breadth. Instead of scattering your focus, you concentrate on a few select projects that can create a lasting impact. Meaningful projects are ideal for deep work. They require sustained focus and cognitive intensity.
So, by choosing meaningful projects, we're also creating the perfect environment for our deep work to thrive. It's a positive feedback loop.
Precisely. And this selection process isn't static. Your values and goals can evolve, and new opportunities emerge. Regularly reevaluating your priorities and projects is key to maintaining strategic alignment.
This approach fosters a more intentional and fulfilling work life. It moves from reacting to demands to purposefully building something significant.
That's the core idea. When you're engaged in work that truly matters, the effort itself becomes energizing rather than draining. The satisfaction derived from meaningful work is a powerful intrinsic motivator. It shifts your perspective from obligation to opportunity.
To summarize, choosing meaningful projects involves deep introspection to define your values and long-term goals, evaluating projects against this internal compass, bravely saying no to misaligned opportunities, using tools like the 2-year rule for filtering, and recognizing this as an ongoing process of strategic alignment. It's about making wise investments of your time and energy for the greatest, most lasting returns.
You've perfectly captured it, Lisa. By being deliberate about what we work on, we significantly enhance the effectiveness of how we work. This intentionality is fundamental to sustainable, impactful productivity.
It certainly sets the stage for our ongoing discussions. We've learned to clear distractions, focus deeply, and now we know what to focus on.
Indeed. And in our next episode, we'll delve into the vital skill of patience, which is closely linked to our ability to commit to and complete those meaningful projects.
That sounds essential. Listeners, take some time this week to examine your current projects. How many truly align with your deepest values and long-term aspirations? What might you need to decline to say a more potent yes to what truly matters?
Excellent call to action, Lisa. Next episode, we'll be exploring the art of patience. Welcome back to Slow Productivity. We're diving into episode 7, this time discussing patience.
Patience. It sounds simple, but it's challenging today. The world tells us go faster, making delays feel like roadblocks.
Exactly. That's why patience is crucial for slow productivity. Rushing causes stress, mistakes, and less fulfilling results. Today, we'll explore how to build this skill and its power.
So, Alex, what does patience mean in slow productivity if not just waiting around?
It means understanding that valuable things take time. Think about gardening. You plant, nurture, and then let nature work. Patience is trusting the natural unfolding of a process.
That's a great analogy. It's letting things happen at their own pace, not forcing them to meet our deadlines.
Precisely. It means resisting the urge to check for progress constantly and focusing on consistent, mindful efforts. It's embracing the journey. This is like deep work from episode 3. Patience give your mind space to engage deeply without pressure.
When we're impatient, we rush, cut corners, and make hasty decisions, which slows us down.
Impatient actions often breed inefficiency. We think we're saving time, but we create more work. So, how we build patience?
I think it starts with redefining progress. We're taught that progress is fast, visible, and measured externally.
Yes, and that can make us confuse busyness with productivity. Patience helps us ask, is this moving me toward my goals or just filling time? It encourages intentional action.
So, one way to build patience is to be deliberate. Before acting, pause and ask, what's the outcome? And what's a realistic time frame?
Exactly. And that leads to mindful observation. Instead of getting frustrated by lack of immediate results, observe the process. What subtle changes are happening? What are you learning? This shifts focus from the outcome to development.
Appreciating small steps. Like watching a plant grow. You don't see it move, but it's happening.
That's perfect. It also means accepting that setbacks are part of the process, not failures. Impatience turns a setback into an end, but patience sees it as a detour for learning.
So, patience means trusting natural development, focusing on mindful effort, and redefining progress. It also involves intentionality and mindful observation, accepting slow results without frustration.
Well said. A key part of mindful observation is understanding your emotional response to delays. When impatience rises, pause. Ask, what's triggering this? Is my expectation realistic?
What if my expectation is realistic, but external factors are causing delays, like waiting for feedback or a part?
In those cases, patience means accepting what you can't control. You've done your part. Now you wait. But this is active waiting. What can you do while waiting? Prepare for the next stage, learn something new, or rest, knowing your focused effort will resume.
Active waiting, not doing nothing, but channeling the waiting period constructively, or just being still without anxiety.
Precisely. This links to episode 4 on seasonal rhythms. Nature has cycles of growth and dormancy. We do too. Forcing growth during dormancy leads to burnout and is the opposite of patience.
By embracing patience, we align with natural rhythms. We resist the pressure to constantly be on and producing at a frenetic pace.
Exactly. This leads to deeper satisfaction. A project nurtured with patience is more fulfilling than a rushed one. It's like aged wine versus a hastily mixed drink.
That's powerful. It's about quality, not just speed. For listeners struggling, what's one concrete step they can take this week to build patience?
Pick one task with natural waiting periods. A creative project, learning, or waiting for an email response. When you feel antsy, pause. Instead of acting on the urge, take 3 deep breaths, acknowledge the feeling, and remind yourself the process is unfolding as it should. That's your practice.
3 deep breaths and acknowledging the feeling. That feels manageable. These small moments build into a habit.
They do. Patience is a skill, a muscle we strengthen. The rewards, less stress, better work, deeper satisfaction, are worth the practice.
To summarize, patience in slow productivity means trusting natural development, focusing on mindful effort, and accepting that things take time. Impatience leads to inefficiency. Cultivating patience involves redefining progress, mindful observation, and accepting setbacks. We also discussed active waiting and aligning with natural rhythms.
The key is to start small, practicing mindful breathing during delays. Patience is allowing process to unfold, leading to sustainable accomplishments.
Wonderful. That concludes episode 7. We've explored the art of patience.
Next time, we'll move to reflection as we dive into understanding rest. Don't miss it. Welcome back to Slow Productivity. Last time, we dove deep into the art of patience and how it's crucial for meaningful accomplishment. Today, we're shifting focus to pillars of sustained high output, deep reflection, and understanding rest.
That's right, Alex. We've touched on rest implicitly, but today we're giving it its due. It's easy to think of rest as just the absence of work or a reward after being productive. But that's not the full picture.
Exactly. True productivity isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. And rest, my friends, is your essential training regimen for that marathon. It's not a break from the race, it's a vital part of the race itself. Today, we'll explore how to make rest and reflection active, strategic components of your productive life.
So, Alex, let's start with this idea of deep reflection. What does that actually mean in the context of being productive? It sounds a bit philosophical.
It can be, but it has very practical applications. Deep reflection is about consciously pausing to process your experiences, your thoughts, and your emotions. Think of it like reviewing the footage of a game after it's played, but applied to your own work and life. It's not just passively letting time go by. It's actively engaging with what has happened and what you've learned.
So, it's not just about doing things, but about thinking about what you've done. Why is that so important for productivity, though? Doesn't that take time away from actually getting things done?
That's the common misconception. But here's the thing. Without reflection, you risk repeating the same mistakes. You might not be optimizing your efforts. Imagine you're building something and you never stop to check if your measurements are correct or if the structure is sound. Eventually, things might start to wobble or you might waste materials on a part that needs to be redone. Reflection is that vital quality control step for your work and your life. It helps you see what's working, what's not, and where you can improve.
That makes sense. It's like having an instructor review your practice swings in golf. You get immediate feedback that helps you correct your form for the next swing, rather than just repeating the same flawed movement over and over.
Precisely. And there are several ways to engage in deep reflection. You can journal. writing down your thoughts, your challenges, and your successes. You can have regular check-ins with yourself, perhaps once a week, asking specific questions. What went well this week? What was challenging? What did I learn? What can I do differently next week to be more effective or feel more fulfilled?
Those are great, tangible ways to start. For me, sometimes just going for a long walk away from all my devices can be a form of reflection. The quiet and the movement seem to help untangle my thoughts.
Absolutely. That's another excellent method. It's about creating space. Notice that I said creating space. That's a key concept for reflection, creating space for processing. It could be a walk, meditation, a quiet cup of tea, or even just consciously setting aside 15 minutes at the end of your workday to think. The key is to be intentional about it.
So, reflection helps us learn and improve. Now, let's pivot to the other big topic, rest. We often think of rest as the opposite of work, but you're saying it's an active part of productivity. How can we shift our mindset from seeing rest as idleness to seeing it as strategic?
This is where we need a fundamental reframing. Rest is not the absence of productivity. It is an essential prerequisite for sustained, high-quality productivity. Our brains and bodies are not machines that can run at full capacity indefinitely. They need recovery. Without adequate rest, our cognitive functions decline, our creativity suffers, our decision-making becomes impaired, and our ability to focus plummets.
It's like trying to push your car on an empty fuel tank. You can push it for a while, but you won't get very far and you'll burn yourself out.
That's a perfect analogy. And what kind of rest are we talking about? It's not just about sleeping, though sleep is critically important. It's also about intentional downtime. This could be engaging in activities that are restorative for you, activities that replenish your energy rather than deplete it.
So, if my work involves a lot of intense mental focus, maybe rest for me looks like doing something physical and enjoyable, like gardening or playing a sport. It's a different kind of engagement that allows my mind to reset.
Exactly. And the opposite can also be true. If your work is very physical, activities that allow for mental unwinding might be more restorative. Think about nature. There's a time for growth and activity, and there's a time for dormancy and regeneration. We as humans are no different. We need periods of intense activity, followed by periods of replenishment.
And I think a big barrier for many people is the guilt associated with resting. We live in a culture that often glorifies being busy. How do we overcome that guilt and embrace rest as a strategic necessity rather than a luxury?
You already used the key phrase, strategic necessity. You have to internalize that. Rest is not a reward for working hard. It's a foundational element that enables you to work hard and effectively over the long term. It's an investment. When you choose to rest, you are investing in your future capacity, your creativity, and your overall well-being. This leads to better, more sustainable output.
So, instead of saying, I deserve a break because I worked so hard, we should be saying, I need this rest so I can continue to work effectively and creatively tomorrow and the day after.
Precisely. It's a subtle but profound shift in perspective. And this also ties back into deep reflection. By reflecting on our energy levels and our performance, we can better understand what kind of rest we need and when we need it. Are you feeling burnout? Are you losing creativity? These are signals that your rest reserves are depleted, and it's time for strategic replenishment, not more pushing.
This is such an important distinction. We've spent so much time talking about the doing deep work, eliminating distractions, choosing meaningful projects. But this episode reminds us that the being, the reflection, and the rest are just as crucial. They are the unseen forces that fuel the visible work.
They absolutely are. Think of it this way. Deep work is like planting the seeds. Reflection is like tending to the soil, ensuring it's healthy and nourished. And rest is like letting the sun and rain do their essential work, allowing the seeds to germinate and grow strong. You can't have a successful harvest without all three.
So, to recap, we've learned that deep reflection is about actively processing our experiences to learn and improve, much like a coach reviewing game footage. And rest isn't just downtime, it's a strategic necessity that replenishes our energy and cognitive functions, much like an athlete needs proper training for a marathon. Both are active, intentional parts of a truly productive life.
That's a fantastic summary, Lisa. By prioritizing deep reflection and embracing rest, not as an indulgence, but as a crucial component of our workflow, we can cultivate a more sustainable, fulfilling, and ultimately more productive existence.
This has been incredibly insightful, Alex. It challenges so many of our ingrained ideas about productivity.
It really does. And in our next episode, we'll start building on these concepts by diving into the practical tools and strategies you can use to create your own slow productivity toolkit. Next episode, building your slow productivity toolkit. Welcome back. Today, we build your slow productivity toolkit.
Exactly. We've covered the concepts, and now it's time for the practical how to. Think of this as your starter pack for a more deliberate way of working.
Our goal is to give you tangible tools, techniques, and mindset shifts you can use immediately. We're moving from understanding to action.
So, what's the first essential item in our slow productivity toolkit?
The first is dedicated, uninterrupted blocks of time. This connects directly to our discussion on deep work. We need to intentionally set aside periods for focused, meaningful tasks.
Yes, deep work, that state of full immersion and significant progress. How do we carve out these blocks?
Start small. Block out just 60 to 90 minutes a day for your most important work. Treat these blocks like crucial appointments. Eliminate email, social media, and casual interruptions. It requires discipline, but the reward in productivity and satisfaction is huge.
So, tool number one, protected deep work time. It's prioritizing focused work over constant activity. What else do we need?
Next, we need a way to manage distractions. Distractions are the enemy of slow productivity, so our toolkit needs a defense. This means consciously reducing or eliminating interruptions, both external and internal.
External ones are clear, like phone alerts or chatty colleagues. But internal distractions?
Internal distractions are wandering thoughts, the urge to check something unrelated, or the feeling that you should be doing something else. To combat these, consider techniques like the Pomodoro technique.
Yes, the one with timed work sessions and short breaks. It helps maintain concentration and prevent burnout.
Precisely. Those 25-minute bursts are manageable, and the breaks refresh your mind. It's a great way to train your focus. Also, simply turning off notifications and closing unnecessary browser tabs are key.
So, our second tool is a distraction defense system. This includes methods like Pomodoro and managing your digital environment. What about choosing what to focus on? That can be a distraction itself.
An excellent point. Our third toolkit item is a meaningful project selector. This ties back to episode 6. The tool here is a clear decision-making framework for selecting tasks. Before your deep work blocks, you must know what you'll be working on.
And how do we ensure the chosen projects are meaningful and fit the slow productivity approach?
Ask yourself, is this project aligned with my long-term goals? Does it have a clear purpose? Will completing it bring accomplishment and make significant progress? If not, it might be a task to reconsider. This helps filter out busy work.
Okay, so we have protected deep work time, a distraction defense system, and a meaningful project selector. That's a strong start. What's next?
We need to remember the power of patience, a concept from episode 7. Slow productivity isn't about instant results. Our next tool is a long-term vision dashboard or a simple journal. This keeps your eye on the prize.
A dashboard?
It can be simple, like a document where you note long-term goals, your progress, and what you're grateful for related to your work. When challenges arise or impatience creeps in, this reminds you of the bigger picture and your achievements, however small they may seem.
That sounds incredibly grounding. Instead of focusing only on the immediate tasks, you're looking at the entire journey. So, we have protected deep work time, distraction defense, meaningful project selector, and the long-term vision tool. Anything else vital?
One more critical component, understanding rest, as we discussed last time. Your toolkit needs a purposeful rest planner. This isn't about collapsing from exhaustion, but about intentional, strategic recharging.
So, it's about planning your breaks?
Exactly. Think about what truly rejuvenates you. Is it a walk in nature? Reading something unrelated to work? Spending time with loved ones? Meditation? Schedule these activities. Just like you schedule deep work, schedule your rest. This prevents burnout and actually enhances your productivity. It's an investment.
So, to quickly recap our slow productivity toolkit: 1. Protected deep work time, carving out focused, uninterrupted periods. 2. A distraction defense system, minimizing interruptions with techniques like Pomodoro and notification management. 3. A meaningful project selector, a framework for choosing tasks aligned with your long-term goals. 4. A long-term vision dashboard or journal to keep the bigger picture in focus and foster patience. And 5. A purposeful rest planner, intentionally scheduling rejuvenating breaks.
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. These aren't abstract ideas anymore. They are actionable tools you can start integrating today. They all work together. Your deep work is more effective with managed distractions. You're more patient with your long-term vision in sight. And you have more sustained energy when your rest is purposeful.
It feels empowering to have these concrete steps. It's not just about reducing busyness, but actively building a more effective and sustainable way of working.
Absolutely. And remember, this toolkit is adaptable. Find what works for you. If Pomodoro isn't your style, try a different time boxing method. If a digital dashboard feels impersonal, a handwritten journal might be better.
So, the advice is to start building these components gradually. Don't try to do everything perfectly at once. Perhaps begin by blocking out one deep work session or disabling notifications for an hour.
That's the best strategy. Small, consistent steps. This toolkit supports the principles we've discussed throughout this series, slowing down to speed up, making deliberate choices, and finding fulfillment in your work.
It's a journey, and this toolkit provides the roadmap. Thank you, Alex, for breaking down these practical applications.
My pleasure, Lisa. These are the tools that can truly transform your approach to work. Next episode, the dangers of performative busyness. Welcome back to Slow Productivity. Today we're tackling performative busyness.
That's right, Alex. We've all encountered it, and sometimes we've even participated in it ourselves. That feeling of needing to constantly look busy, even if we're not actually moving the needle on anything important.
Exactly. It's this societal pressure, this almost unconscious drive to prove our worth through constant activity. But as we've been exploring throughout this series, true productivity isn't about how much you're doing, it's about what you're accomplishing. And performative busyness, as we'll see, is a huge roadblock to that.
So, Alex, to kick us off, what exactly is performative busyness? How do we define it?
Great question, Lisa. At its core, performative busyness is the act of appearing busy to others, and often to ourselves, without necessarily being productive. It's about projecting an image of being overwhelmed and working hard as a way to gain validation or avoid judgment. Think about someone who's always sending emails late at night, not because there's urgent work, but to signal they're working. Or the person who fills their calendar with back-to-back meetings, even low-priority ones, just to appear important and in demand.
That makes sense. It's like putting on a show of being busy. And I can see how that would feel productive on the surface because you're constantly doing things. But it's not necessarily effective. Why do you think we fall into this trap so easily? What's driving this need to perform busyness?
There are a few major drivers, and they're deeply ingrained. One is societal expectation. We live in a culture that often equates busyness with importance and success. If you're not stressed and overwhelmed, it's easy to feel like you're not doing enough, or worse, that you're not valuable. This can stem from our upbringing, our workplaces, and the media we consume.
So it's external pressure for sure. But you also mentioned it can be internal.
Absolutely. Internally, it often comes down to a fear of not being good enough. If we're not constantly working, we might feel guilty. We might worry that if we slow down, people will see we're not as dedicated or competent as they thought. So we mask that insecurity with a veneer of busyness. It becomes a defense mechanism. Also, for some, it's a way to avoid facing more challenging or meaningful work. It's easier to stay occupied with superficial tasks than to tackle something that might be difficult or expose our vulnerabilities.
That's a powerful point. It's easier to look busy than to actually do the hard, impactful work. And that brings us to the core of today's episode, the dangers of this performative busyness. What are the real consequences of this behavior?
The consequences are significant, and they affect us on multiple levels. First, and perhaps most obvious, it hinders genuine productivity. When you're focused on the appearance of work, you're diverting energy and attention away from tasks that actually matter. You're not engaging in deep work. Remember our discussion on deep work in episode 3? Performative busyness is the antithesis of that. It keeps you in a shallow, reactive mode.
So, instead of achieving meaningful outcomes, you're just spinning your wheels and looking like you're going somewhere.
Precisely. Second, it leads to burnout. Constantly trying to project an image of being overworked without actually aligning your activities with your goals is exhausting. It's a form of emotional and mental labor that drains your resources without providing the satisfaction of accomplishment. You feel tired but not fulfilled.
That's the paradoxical exhaustion. You're busy but also drained, and not in a good way.
Exactly. And this leads to my third point, diminished well-being. The constant need to perform, coupled with the lack of genuine accomplishment, can lead to increased stress, anxiety, and even depression. It erodes our self-esteem because we know, deep down, that our busyness isn't translating into real progress. We're living a lie, and that's fundamentally unsustainable and unhealthy.
It sounds like a vicious cycle. You feel inadequate, so you perform busyness, which makes you more exhausted and less effective, which can then reinforce the feeling of inadequacy.
A perfect summary, Lisa. And there's another subtle but dangerous effect. It distorts our perception of what actual productivity looks like. We start to admire or envy people who appear busy, forgetting to ask whether their busyness is actually effective. We can become so enamored with the idea of being busy that we lose sight of our own goals and values.
It's like we start to measure our success by the quantity of our activities rather than the quality of our output.
Indeed. And this is where we need to shift our focus from performative busyness to authentic productivity, which is what we've been talking about all series. How can we resist this urge to look busy and instead focus on being genuinely effective?
That's the million-dollar question. What are some strategies we can employ to break free from this cycle?
First, we need to cultivate self-awareness. Start by observing when and why you feel the need to appear busy. Are you checking emails constantly because you're genuinely waiting for something or because you're feeling anxious about not doing enough? Are you agreeing to every meeting request to seem in demand or because it truly serves your goals? Identifying these triggers is the first step to changing the behavior.
So, pause and reflect. Acknowledge the urge without necessarily acting on it.
Exactly. Second, redefine success. This is crucial. We need to move away from equating busyness with achievement. Success should be defined by the impact you make, the goals you achieve, and the sustainable progress you build. Think about the knowledge you've gained, the problems you've solved, or the projects you've completed successfully. Those are the metrics that matter, not the number of hours you look like you were working.
That aligns perfectly with the philosophy of slow productivity. It's about deliberate, meaningful work, not frantic activity.
Precisely. Third, learn to say no. This is a powerful tool against performative busyness. If a request or commitment doesn't align with your priorities or is simply going to add to your overwhelming workload without significant benefit, it's okay to decline. Saying no to the non-essential frees up time and energy for the truly important.
Saying no to distractions and the superficial allows you to say a more powerful yes to what truly matters.
You got it. And fourth, schedule deliberate downtime and reflection. This might sound counterintuitive when we're talking about busyness, but it's essential. Just as we discussed in episode 8, rest and reflection are not the opposites of productivity. They are integral to it. When you allow yourself periods of disconnection from work, you return with clarity, renewed energy, and a better perspective on your priorities. This downtime also helps break the habit of always needing to be on.
So, taking breaks and actually disconnecting helps you avoid the need to perform being busy because you regain your energy and focus.
Yes, it's a virtuous cycle. And finally, seek authentic feedback. Instead of seeking validation through the appearance of busyness, seek genuine input on the quality and impact of your work. Ask trusted colleagues or mentors for their honest assessment of your contributions. This external perspective can be invaluable in helping you recognize when you're truly making progress versus just going through the motions.
So, to recap, Alex, the dangers of performative busyness are that it hinders real productivity, leads to burnout, damages our well being, and distorts our perception of success. To combat it, we need to cultivate self awareness, redefine success based on outcomes, learn to say no, schedule deliberate downtime, and seek authentic feedback.
That's a fantastic summary, Lisa. Remember, the goal of slow productivity isn't to eliminate work, but to make your work more meaningful, sustainable, and ultimately more impactful. Letting go of the need to look busy is a huge step in that direction. It's about shifting your focus from external validation to intrinsic satisfaction and genuine accomplishment.
It's a conscious choice to prioritize substance over spectacle. And it's a journey, as we've seen throughout the series.
It absolutely is. We've covered a lot of ground, from the illusion of the hustle to the power of deep work, and now, the pitfalls of performative busyness. Next episode, cultivating lasting success.
Thanks for listening.
Welcome back. Last time we discussed the dangers of performative busyness. Now, let's cultivate lasting success.
That's right, Alex. We've explored defining slow productivity, the power of deep work, embracing seasonal rhythms, eliminating distractions, choosing meaningful projects, and the crucial arts of patience and rest. We've also looked at building our toolkit and identifying the dangers of performative busyness.
Exactly, Lisa. And now, we're connecting all of that to something much bigger. How this approach doesn't just help us get things done today, but how it builds a foundation for enduring, meaningful success in the long run. This isn't about frantic sprints. It's about building a marathon-ready mindset.
I love that analogy, Alex, because in our hyper-connected, always-on world, it's so easy to fall into the trap of thinking success is about constant activity, about being seen as busy. But we've learned that's often just a performance. Slow productivity, on the other hand, focuses on the quality of our output and our well-being. So, how does that translate into lasting success?
Well, first and foremost, lasting success requires sustainability. Think of it like a well-tended garden. If you constantly overwork the soil, try to force growth with artificial means, and never let it rest, it will eventually become depleted and barren. Slow productivity, with its emphasis on appropriate pacing, rest, and mindful effort, is like giving that garden the conditions it needs to thrive year after year. It prevents burnout, which is the ultimate killer of long-term careers and personal achievements.
So, sustainability is key. When we're not constantly running on empty, we're able to maintain our energy, our focus, and our passion for our work over the long haul. We're not just aiming for a single big win, but for a consistent, high quality contribution.
Precisely. And that brings us to the second pillar, depth. Remember our discussions on deep work? Lasting success isn't built on shallow, fragmented effort. It's built on tackling complex problems, creating truly innovative solutions, and developing profound expertise. Slow productivity encourages us to carve out dedicated time for these high-impact activities. When we allow ourselves the time and focus for deep work, we're not just producing more. We're producing work of significantly higher quality and originality. This is the kind of work that truly makes a difference and stands the test of time.
That makes so much sense. It's like the difference between a quick sketch and a masterfully painted portrait. The sketch might capture a likeness, but the portrait, with its painstaking detail and layers of color, has a richness and permanence that resonates. Deep work is where that richness comes from.
Exactly. And this depth also fuels creativity. When we're not constantly reacting to external demands or feeling rushed, our minds have a space to wander, to make unexpected connections, and to generate novel ideas. Seasonal rhythms, for instance, teach us to embrace periods of lower intensity, which often prove to be fertile ground for creative breakthroughs. This cyclical approach, rather than a relentless push, allows for true innovation to flourish.
So, it's not just about being more efficient day to day, but about fostering an environment where truly original and impactful ideas can emerge. That's a powerful shift in perspective.
Absolutely. The third aspect is resilience. Life and work will always throw curveballs. A slow productivity approach builds our capacity to handle these challenges without crumbling. By prioritizing rest and reflection, we strengthen our mental and emotional reserves. By choosing meaningful projects, we build a strong connection to our purpose, which is a powerful anchor during difficult times. And by practicing patience, we learn to navigate setbacks with a calmer, more strategic mindset. This resilience is crucial for weathering storms and continuing to move forward.
That idea of purpose is really strong. When you're deeply connected to why you're doing something, it becomes much easier to pick yourself up when things go wrong. It's not just about the task, it's about the mission.
And that mission, when pursued with a slow productivity mindset, leads to a much deeper sense of fulfillment. Lasting success isn't just about external validation or reaching certain milestones. It's about the internal satisfaction that comes from knowing you're contributing meaningfully, developing your skills, and living in alignment with your values. This fulfillment isn't a fleeting emotion. It's a sustained sense of well-being and purpose that defines truly successful lives.
So, to recap, we're talking about sustainability preventing burnout, depth creating high quality and original work, and resilience helping us navigate challenges. All of this combined leads to a greater sense of fulfillment. It seems like slow productivity isn't just a way to get more done, but to do better and feel better along the way.
Precisely, Lisa. It's a holistic approach. It's about building a life and a career that is not only productive, but also sustainable, creative, resilient, and ultimately deeply satisfying. This is the essence of lasting success. It's not about chasing an ever-moving finish line. It is about enjoying the journey and building something enduring.
It's about the quality of the output and the quality of the experience. We've seen how essential deep work is for producing significant contributions, how patience allows us to learn and grow through challenges, and how vital rest is for maintaining our energy and creativity. These aren't separate tactics, they're interconnected pillars that support a robust and enduring path forward.
And when you integrate these principles, you create a virtuous cycle. More focused work leads to better results. which boosts confidence and reduces the pressure to constantly prove yourself. Better rest leads to more clarity and creativity, fueling more meaningful projects. Patience with the process makes navigating inevitable setbacks feel less like failures and more like learning opportunities. It all builds upon itself.
So, instead of seeing work as a battle to be won through sheer force and speed, slow productivity reframes it as an art to be cultivated with intention, care, and a long-term vision. It's a shift from a reactive, frantic existence to a proactive, deliberate, and deeply rewarding one. This is what lasting success feels like.
Exactly. It's about creating work and a life that you can sustain, that allows for growth and learning, and that brings you genuine satisfaction. It's not the absence of effort, but the presence of mindful, deliberate effort applied to what truly matters. We've covered so much ground, from the initial understanding of what slow productivity is to the practical tools and mindsets needed to implement it. This episode, by focusing on how these pieces build lasting success, truly ties it all together.
It really does. It's about building a legacy, not just a to-do list. And that legacy is built on the quality of your attention, the depth of your thinking, and the sustainability of your approach.
Thank you for joining us on this journey through slow productivity. We've explored how to move beyond the illusion of the hustle and embrace a more effective, fulfilling way of working and living.
In our next and final episode, we'll be charting your course forward, offering concrete steps to continue your slow productivity journey.
Join us next time for episode 12, Your Slow Productivity Journey. Next steps. Welcome back to the final episode of Slow Productivity.
It really has, Alex. Over the past 11 episodes, we've deconstructed the myth of the nonstop hustle and explored how true productivity comes from intentionality, depth, and yes, a bit of slowness. Today, we're talking about how to make this a sustainable, ongoing part of your life.
Exactly. So, let's start by reminiscing a little. Remember episode 1? We kicked things off by challenging the illusion of the hustle. We talked about how the constant pressure to be busy often leads to burnout and diminishes our actual output. The idea was to question this ingrained belief that more hours or more activity automatically equals more results.
That's right. We learned that being busy isn't the same as being productive. And that distinction is crucial for anyone looking to adopt a more sustainable approach. Then, in episode 2, we formally define slow productivity itself.
Ah, yes. We established that slow productivity isn't about being lazy or doing less. It's about doing the right things in the right way with focus and intention. It's about prioritizing quality over quantity and sustainability over burnout. It's about working at a pace that allows for deep thought and high quality output.
And that naturally led us into the power of deep work in episode 3. We explored the concept of focused, uninterrupted work on cognitively demanding tasks where real breakthroughs happen.
Deep work is such a cornerstone. It's like training a muscle. The more you do it, the stronger your focus becomes. We discussed how to create environments conducive to this kind of intense focus, free from the constant ping of notifications and interruptions.
We also delved into the natural rhythms of our lives, particularly in episode 4, with understanding seasonal rhythms. You made a great point about how our energy levels aren't constant, and that working with these natural ebbs and flows, rather than fighting against them, can be far more effective.
Nature offers such profound lessons, doesn't it? Just as plants grow and rest with the seasons, we too have periods of high energy and periods of lower energy. Respecting that allows us to plan our most demanding tasks for our peak times and use lower energy periods for rest, reflection, or less cognitively taxing work.
And then we got tough on ourselves, tackling the elimination of busy work and distractions in episode 5. This was a vital step in clearing the path for that deep, meaningful work.
Oh, busy work. It's so tempting to fill our days with small, unproductive tasks because they make us feel busy. We talked about identifying those tasks and ruthlessly cutting them out, or finding smarter ways to handle them, like delegating or automating, so we can focus on what truly matters. Distractions, of course, are the arch nemesis of deep work. We learn to actively engineer our environments to minimize them.
Choosing meaningful projects was another big theme in episode 6. It's not just about working deeply, but working on things that align with our values and goals. This is what gives our work purpose.
Absolutely. When you're working on something you genuinely care about, the effort feels less like a chore and more like a calling. We encouraged listeners to ask themselves if their projects are truly moving the needle on what's important to them.
And that led us to episode 7, The Art of Patience. This felt like a more philosophical, yet incredibly practical, aspect of slow productivity.
Patience is key. We often want instant results, but true mastery and significant achievements take time. We discussed how cultivating patience allows us to persist through challenges and avoid the quick fix mentality that often derails progress. It's about trusting the process.
Episode 8 then brought us to deep reflection and understanding rest. This was a wonderful counterpoint to the idea of productivity.
Rest isn't the opposite of work, it's a crucial component. We explored how rest, true rest, not just passive idleness, but conscious recharging, allows our minds to consolidate learning, spark creativity, and prevent burnout. Reflection helps us understand what's working and what's not, so we can adjust our approach.
Then, in episode 9, we started assembling our toolkit for slow productivity. This was where we brought together practical strategies and habits.
Yes, our toolkit episode covered things like time blocking, using focused work sessions, setting clear boundaries, and establishing routines that support deep work and intentionality. It's about building a system that works for you.
And in episode 10, we confronted the dark side, the dangers of performative busyness. This was a stark reminder of how easily we can fall back into the trap of appearing busy rather than actually being effective.
Performative busyness is that external show of activity that doesn't yield real results. We talked about how this can be a defense mechanism, a way to avoid difficult questions about our true impact or even societal pressure. Recognizing it is the first step to dismantling it.
Then, just last time, in episode 11, we focused on cultivating lasting success. We wove together all the threads of intentionality, depth, patience, and rest to build a foundation for enduring achievement and fulfillment.
The core message was that lasting success isn't about sprint. It's about a marathon run at a sustainable pace. It's about building habits that serve you for the long haul, rather than chasing fleeting wins that lead to burnout. And that brings us to today's topic, your slow productivity journey, the next steps.
So, Alex, after all this, what are the crucial next steps for our listeners? How do they take what they've learned and truly embed it into their lives?
The most important thing is to remember that this is an ongoing practice, not a destination. Slow productivity is an evolution. Your first step is to identify one area from our discussions that resonated most strongly with you and start there. Don't try to implement everything at once. For example, if deep work was your takeaway, commit to scheduling 1 hour of uninterrupted deep work each day this week.
That's brilliant advice. Start small, build momentum. What else?
Second, continue to reflect. Schedule regular check-ins with yourself. Are your current practices supporting your goals? Are you feeling more energized or more drained? Use journaling or even just a few minutes of quiet contemplation to assess and adjust. Remember when we talked about reflection in episode 8? That practice is vital for long-term success.
So, continuous assessment and iteration. It's about being aware and responsive to your own needs and progress.
Exactly. Third, find your community or accountability partner. Sharing your journey, your struggles, and your successes with others can be incredibly motivating. Perhaps you can start a small group with fellow listeners or even just share your intentions with a trusted friend. Remember the power of external validation and support we touched on?
That makes sense. It's hard to stay on track when you feel like you're doing it alone. And what about the inevitable setbacks? Because they will happen.
Setbacks are not failures. They are learning opportunities. When you slip back into old habits, don't be discouraged. Acknowledge it, understand why it happened, and gently guide yourself back to your chosen practices. Think back to our discussion on patience. This is where it truly comes into play. Don't expect perfection, expect progress.
So, recap. Start with one actionable step. Commit to regular reflection and adjustment. Seek out community or accountability and treat setbacks as learning moments, not failures.
Precisely. And finally, give yourself grace. This is a shift in mindset and behavior that takes time. Celebrate your small wins along the way. Every focused hour, every moment of intentional rest, every piece of busy work you eliminate, these are all victories.
This has been such a fulfilling series, Alex. From dismantling the hustle to building sustainable success through slow productivity, we've covered so much ground. I feel inspired and equipped to continue this journey.
Me too, Lisa. And for all of you listening, remember, this is your journey. Embrace the process, find what works for you, and enjoy the sustainable success that awaits. It's been an absolute pleasure exploring slow productivity with all of you.
Thank you for joining us on this series. We hope it has provided you with valuable insights and practical tools to create a more fulfilling and productive life.
Thanks for listening to the series.